The Democratic Republic of the Congo in modern days, what it's called, it's no longer called the Free State of the Congo, is still has a lot of issues, much more than Nigeria does. It has constant civil wars. Now, a civil war is when there's a country between, or there's a war between two people in the same, or two groups of people in the same country trying to fight over who gets control of the government. So that's been happening forever. Even after when the Belgians, as soon as the Belgians left, there's been constant fighting as to who's going to take over because there wasn't a stable system afterwards. And it's not as though imperialism has necessarily ended in the world. The government of China is very interested in collecting resources, much like the Europeans did hundreds of years ago. And so they made a deal with the Congolese government. They said, if you allow us to mine the valuable resources that are in your country, we will put in roads and telephone lines. We'll try to make what they call the infrastructure, which is the things that you need to move people and move communications. We will build all those things if you allow us to take your rich minerals. The Congolese government said yes. And part of the deal was the Chinese government or the Chinese companies didn't have to pay any taxes to the Congolese government until it was all done. So what those Chinese companies are doing is they're taking all the minerals out, but they're building the roads and the infrastructure very, very slowly. So they're taking all these things from the Congo and not actually giving them any money back for it. And because of this deal that they signed, because the Congo has very little power to dispute on an international scale or to argue against it, there's not a whole lot they can do. So most of the money that's from the Congo either goes to the corrupt leaders in the Congolese government or it goes right to China, and the people there suffer immensely. This was another country that was ruled under direct rule. Remember, direct rule means that the Europeans would bring in a government to do the administration instead of having the Africans do the government themselves. They didn't let the Africans have their own government. They did all the ruling themselves, and the Congo is not in good shape for it. Here we have Rwanda. Now, Rwanda is what we would call a landlocked nation. Now, a landlocked nation means that you have your country. So if we pull up here, I'll pull up that picture of Rwanda real quick. If we look here at the picture of Rwanda, there is no way for the people of Rwanda to get to the ocean so that they can trade their goods with the international market. That's what it means to be landlocked. Landlocked means that you're surrounded by all other countries in land and you can't get out to the ocean to do large trading. This is a problem because if Rwanda can't do the kind of trading that is necessary to be in order to get the resources that they need for their people, they're going to be poor. This has led to lack of education, both because they're not able to bring in the money necessary to fund something like that, and because the government is oftentimes corrupt. Most people in Rwanda have access to water, but that's about 75%. So 1 in every 4 people in Rwanda doesn't have access to clean water. And if we look at this slide here, something you'll see in Africa, you might see this more in a geography class in, say, high school. But this is what we would call a population pyramid. If we look here, this is Rwanda. So down here are the age groups. This is children age 0 to 4, then 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19. It's showing that the majority of people are young people. So the majority of people who live in the country of Rwanda are below the age of 20 years old. Most of the older people, they either, because there's not a good healthcare system, because there's not good education, because they can't care for their people, most people don't get to the age of, say, 40 or 45. And the people who do get to those ages have a lot of children without being able to take care of them. So there are a lot of children who are that are not taken care of down here, and not a very large older population to take care of them. You'll see that a lot in many African nations. Just about every African nation. You're going to see a population pyramid that looks like this. We have a lot of children who need taken care of, and the people who can take care of them, there's not enough to do the job. If we look over here in America, we see that most people are not below the age of 20. You see, these are where I guess we would call children, 19 to 0 years old, or newborns to 19 years old. And then you see it's pretty consistent as we go up. And then as you get older and older, there's less people because, older people die off. But this is what a healthy country looks like, its population. You have young people who are going to be your future generations, who are going to take up the mantle and work new jobs and do the things in the economy you need them to do. But then you also have the older people, the parents, who can take care of them. That is not the case in Rwanda. There are too many children for most parents to take care of. And because those children can't get proper education, can't get proper health care, they don't have the rights in the government that they should, you're always going to have young people who can't get access to what they need because there's not enough older people to take care of them. And it's a real problem in Rwanda. Okay. So if we look back here, Rwanda is again a country that was under direct rule. Again, direct rule, the Europeans come in, they establish the government. So, if we were to look at a map of Africa, typically the countries that are doing better were ruled under indirect rule. They were able to keep some form of government for themselves. Egypt, typically pretty strong. Morocco, pretty strong country. South Africa, strong economically. Nigeria, strong economically. However, when we see countries that were under direct rule, like with King Leopold, where he controlled whatever he wanted because he was a terrible, awful human being, he could do as he pleased, the people suffered. And even today, those countries are very, very hard hit. So in future lessons, we're going to discuss what happens with, how can I phrase it? We're going to discuss countries that were impacted by direct rule and countries that were impacted by direct rule, and how some of them are doing better than others. That's going to be kind of a theme that we go through. Next week, I believe we're going to be talking about South Africa and apartheid. So that's another history lesson similar to this one. The week after that is going to go more into modern history. More into like current events and modern world or African problems and African solutions to those problems. So if we were to go back over this again,